Hi guys, welcome back. In our last video we looked at the single image and contact sheet style of laying out prints. In this one I want to look really briefly at picture package and custom package. As you saw in our last video, we can use these templates in our contact sheet module here. But let's go to custom package and let's see what we can do there. We've got a few new options now. We have some different things we can use to lay it out with rulers, grids, and guides. We've got different options for our cells and how those go in there. Let's clear this layout. So I can use a template and it'll kind of give me some frames to work with, or I can make my own. Let's click on a couple of them. And so it places them in there that just sort of defaults to that corner, but we can move these around. As I said, you can kind of freehand it if you'd like. And these guides really make it handy when you're going to be making a truly custom freehand layout. So we've got our page bleed. We could have a grid if we wanted to get really precise. So these can really make it a lot more precise. A custom layout done by hand doesn't have to be imprecise and sloppy, and these guides really help keep it from being that way. So we can put a few frames down. So you can see here, it had to add a new page to it. Let's actually, so if I right click on one of these frames here, these cells, I can rotate, I can delete it. I actually want to delete that one. I think I'd like to make something that's a little simpler and cleaner. Let's resize these. Once we have these positioned where we'd like to, then we can add the images that we want to it. So I've got one in that frame. I can scroll down here through my collections, pick another. Let's get something from down here. Let's see, how about this one? So we can continue choosing different frame sizes, drop them on the page, reposition them, place images into those frames. Once we're finished, we can leave the guides, we can get rid of the guides, we can add our identity plate. We can also add watermarks to each of the images, and we can add trimming guides. Those can be pretty handy, as I mentioned before. We have some different options. We can have lines or more traditional crop marks. So if you know these are going to get cut up, it'd be a good idea to add those to it. And just like we had in the last video, we still need to deal with these settings here before you either send it to the printer or save it as a JPEG file. So between these custom templates and these cells that we can manually drop in here, you really can come up with a lot of different layouts. This was just a quick look at those. If you take a look at chapter 13 in Scott Kelby's Lightroom book, he goes into a lot of detail of different kinds of layouts for different purposes. He shows some layouts for promotional materials that he makes for himself. He shows some layouts for different kinds of prints that he gives to his clients. There's really a lot that you can do with this when you start looking at the ways you can use your identity plate and custom layouts that you can make some really nice looking layouts that can serve a variety of purposes. I definitely recommend take a look at that chapter, read through it. I've kind of shown you where these tools are at and basically how they work, but he gives you some specific step-by-step how to make several different kinds of prints. Again, if you've got any questions, feel free to email me or post it to the tech support forum. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.